Good morning, everybody. Can somebody give me a thumbs up or a chat that you can all hear me and things are good? All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My screen just said you have been signed out of Zoom, but it appears that I'm still using it. So, hey, we're going to go with it. Well, good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, 20th of October. Man, we are flying by with our month. I mean, I thought the fourth quarter just started, and shoot, we're getting close to being a third done with the fourth quarter already. So, I'll remind you guys, you basically have, I don't know, maybe a month to open an escrow to close it before the end of the year, right? So, keep that in mind at all times. Because we got the holidays coming up, banks will be even slower than they already are, and all that good stuff. So, anyways, just something to keep in mind. So we are going to get started here and jump into our content today. We're going to talk about seller appointments, and let's go ahead and get started into our slideshow. So we're going to focus on growing the business. We're going to talk about listing presentations and all kinds of good stuff today. So, we're going to talk about, for our agenda, what sellers want. We're going to talk about what it looks like for pre-appointment, before the appointment. We're going to look at what the actual listing presentation looks like, what the listing appointment's going to look like, and then we will go through and recap all of that. So, what sellers want is, what they say they want and how that affects your conversations with them. The prior to the appointment, before the appointment, is, something we describe as the best listing appointments are continuations of an ongoing conversation, right? People you've already spoken to about selling their house. And now an appointment, a really good appointment, is just continuing that conversation with the intent to take action, right? We're going to talk about how to prepare yourself and your future seller to get the most out of the listing appointment. And then we're going to talk about the listing presentation. We're going to take a look at what a good listing presentation should achieve and how it will achieve all that. And then we're going to talk about the actual appointment itself, what it's going to look like to go on an appointment, to establish yourself as the local market expert, and gather the information you need to market and sell their home. So after today, hopefully you'll have a good understanding of the expectations for a successful listing appointment and know where to get all the resources that you need to get started. And boy, let me tell you, I wish I had these resources when I got started. I think I've told this story numerous times now about me not getting my first listing presentation or my listing contract signed because frankly, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, right? I was just showing up. I had my comps that my broker helped me with, and I really had no presentation. I didn't know how to close. I didn't know how to ask for the sale. And indeed, I didn't get the sale. So with that said, we're really going to look at what a strong listing presentation is going to be, because there's so many components to it. It's not just showing up and talking about what you're going to do to sell the house and how great you are. There's a lot of pre-work that's involved that is very, very important. So with that said, let's start the process of looking at what a seller or how a seller finds their agent. Okay, so if we look at the graph on the screen there, so this is according to the National Association of Realtors for the 2019 profile of home buyers and sellers. And so according to an AR, almost 40% of sellers either knew their listing agent or were referred to their listing agent by a friend. And that's the highest percentage by far. Okay. So, just shy of half of sellers found their agent from a referral or someone they knew. 27% of buyers used their listing agent previously to buy or sell a home. So it was a past client, basically. And then all the rest are just very minimal, right? 5% chose a realtor after being personally contacted by them. What does that mean? Well, that might have been a door knock or someone that came into an open house or a flyer or what have you. And I think it's so important, guys and gals, to understand here that, outbound lead generating and marketing was like the smallest portion of generating seller leads. The vast majority came through sphere of influence, referrals, et cetera, okay, or a past client maybe somebody that you helped as a buyer that now decides to be a seller, right? 3% came from open house, and then 22% came from everything else. Okay. A for sale sign, seeing a flyer, an open house sign, or whatever, referral from another agent or whatever. So there's all these other categories that are, broken up into small chunks. But again, at the end of the day, I want you guys to remember your business is your database. It's all about how many people that you know and how big your database is and how effectively you are communicating to it. And we've talked about this over and over and over again, and we will talk about it forever, right? Because that's the bottom line. It's all about the people that you have direct access to through whatever methods of marketing that you have. Okay. So here's another great question. Okay. So would you be surprised to learn that 75% of sellers only contact one agent before picking someone to work with, right? 75% pick the one agent they meet with, and 15% more than that talk to two before selecting the agent, right? So basically 90% of sellers are going to speak to either one or max two people, two real estate agents before they choose who they're going to work with. Okay. So the odds are in your favor if you can get in front of them, right? That's kind of what that whole point is. As long as you can get that appointment, right? And you follow some of the basics we're going to talk about today, the chances of you getting hired are extremely high. Okay. So let's just keep that in mind for perspective. So on our next slide here, we talk about what sellers want. Okay. And we've talked about this a little bit in the value proposition class. But basically, what does a good first impression look like? Well, it's going to be basically, besides being professional, friendly, and likable, the sellers have specific objectives that they want to know that you can help them achieve, right? So knowing this information will really be powerful when you go to the appointment, because you can tailor your conversation around the things that sellers typically want. I always say that my simple definition of of sales is easy. Find out what someone wants and then give it to them. So find out what someone wants and then give it to them, right? And again, if you look at the graph here, this is everything that sellers want. Okay, so what do they want? Well, they want the first thing they want is they want help marketing. They want help marketing their home. Can you all do marketing? Absolutely, right? They want to make sure the home sells in a certain time frame. Can you affect that? Yeah, by pricing well, presenting it, staging it well, marketing it properly. Yes, you can do that, right? 19% want help pricing competitively. Okay, so that kind of goes hand in hand with getting it sold in a certain time frame. The better the price, the faster it's going to sell in any market. 16% want advice on improvements to improve their sales price. They want you to tell them what is generating the highest sales prices. And, part of your job as agent is to be looking at properties every day on the MLS and whenever you can in person, but mostly through the MLS. So you want to be looking and seeing, do you know what the trends are? Do you know what buyers want? Do you know what materials are, in vogue, in fashion right now in our current state, right? I remember, a while back, granite countertops, that was it. That was the thing, right? And now they look really old, in most properties. And what do people want now? They want other stone. They want, the quartz, the clean look, right? So, that changed and it changed pretty quick. And then all of a sudden, something is now antiquated and is not what buyers want. So the sellers want to know, well, what should I do, if anything, right? So that would go in line with staging a home. By the way, just real quickly, staging has many levels, right? One level of staging is just you walking the property and giving your advice on what the seller should do to clean the property up and make it as presentable as possible. Decluttering, right? Depersonalizing, meaning taking down, personalized like photographs and things that would prevent a buyer from seeing themselves live there and more see the seller currently living there. Maybe rearranging some furniture, maybe some fresh flowers, that kind of stuff, right? And that's all something you guys can all do for free. And then another layer of staging would be hiring somebody just to come in that's a professional and walking the property, right? And that person may charge by the hour just to make some recommendations about what's currently in the home. And then you have your full-blown staging where you actually hire a company to bring in new furniture or additional furniture for a vacant property or what have you. Okay, so that's part of the improving the property. And then lastly, the 13% is basically help finding the buyer. Obviously, a small percentage of people stated other, which would include things like paperwork, negotiating, handling inspections, investigations, things of that nature. Now, just because they don't say at the beginning that they want your help with paperwork and negotiations doesn't mean they don't need your help, right? A big portion of the sellers use their previous agent, so they have a good fiduciary relationship with that agent, right? So you're still going to be a big piece of that with negotiating and paperwork. And the total value you bring to the transaction is what will get you repeat business. Let me say that again. The total value you bring to the transaction is what will get you repeat business. So the better your customer experience, the more value, the easier you make it, the faster you make it, the most money you help a client get, those factors are going to earn you the referrals for the future. Okay. And all these things combined are what you will use to make a great first impression. And remember, I said at the beginning, find out what someone wants and then give it to them. If you come in there to an appointment and you tailor your presentation around marketing, selling in a quick time frame or whatever time frame is important to them, right? Competitive pricing, fixing up and improving the property, and letting them know how you're going to find buyers, then that's the majority of what most sellers want. So you're going to be catering directly to what it is that they're looking for and not making an assumption about what you think is going to be best for them, right? So again, very important to understand what this is. This is in your manual. It is on page number 4. So you have how sellers found their agent and what sellers want right there, okay? All right, let's move on to our next page, and we're going to look at the process to listing. So we have the process outlined, okay? And we know we have some tools that we've heard about and learned about, and we're going to continue to see a few more today. So when you have a lead that has expressed interest in selling their home, there are a few steps that you will take to convert the lead into a listing, right? Because it's one thing to have a lead, it's another thing to have a signed contract and a listing agreement. Depending on your personal style, you will tweak some of this stuff. It's not going to be black and white necessarily, but I would say at the beginning of your careers, the smartest and best thing that you can do is just follow everything to the T, right? Do every single thing that we're going to talk about today, including the pre-listing questionnaire, the pre-listing packet, the listing presentation, comparables, et cetera, okay? So, yeah, just go through the process verbatim. And I'll tell you this too. When you go through the process verbatim, when you use all the tools exactly as they're presented and meant to be used, that is a big component of giving exceptional customer service and provide a great customer experience, right? You want your presentations and appointments to be very much the same. So that way, you know that you're delivering a high level of service. And if you think about any other service industry, whether it's hotel or restaurant or whatever, the employees are trained to deliver the same experience over and over and over again, right? It's very robotic. They want to make sure, their personality, of course, they put some spin on it, but for the most part, when you go to a restaurant, it's, how many are in your party, right? Where would you like to sit? Is this table okay with you? Can I bring you some waters, right? They're using a script, right? And then when you order, they have upsells. That's part of a script. And then they come back and how's everything going? And then how was your dinner tonight? And then blah, 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 right? So they walk you through this exact, presentation, and they do it to every single customer to make sure that every customer is getting the same quality and service. You guys want to be doing the same thing. And I will say to add to that, when you're working with your friends and family, there's a tendency for many agents to skip, to not go through certain parts of the process because the assumption is that the friends and family just know that you're going to do a good job for them, and they should just know that, what's going to happen in the process. Your friends and family don't know how to buy and sell houses, just like any other consumer, right, out there, any other lead that you generate. So in fact, I always say that we should be giving a higher level. We should be going through the process even more exacting, even more very specifically, to ensure that our friends and family are getting that same level of service, right? So consider that and make sure that you are just going through this process exactly the way it's meant to be, over and over and over again, okay? So what we're looking at here in our lead flow, or our process for listing, are 5 components, okay? And we're gonna look at each one of these. We have our pre-listing questionnaire, also known as the pre-qualification. And this is where we ask potential sellers questions to determine their expectations, motivations, and any other wants and needs that they have, okay? Then we're gonna schedule a listing appointment. So once we get an idea of the motivation level, that's where we're gonna decide if an appointment is warranted, right? If you have somebody that says, yeah, we're thinking about selling next April, I mean, you may still go on an appointment now, but it may not be a full-blown listing appointment, right? So you have to kind of figure out, what's the time frame? Are they ready? What do they need? Are we good to go? And if so, okay, then we will do an actual presentation. If not, maybe it's just a quick walkthrough to meet and greet, okay? Third, we have here sending a pre-listing packet, which I'm going to show you today. We can send that via email. You can mail it. You can drop it off at the property. But the pre-listing packet is to set the seller's expectations of the process and to create a conversation around what expectations look like. When we talk about pre-qual and like the pre-work before we get an appointment or get a contract signed, buyer or seller, we talk a lot about expectations, what to expect in the process, okay? And I love the expectation conversations because it lays the framework of what's going to happen, and it allows you to give that level of service because you're telling people, here's the process that we're going to follow, and then you go through the process, right? And it's perfect, right? But if you don't lay that groundwork up front, your clients are going to be guessing and not knowing what's going on, which is not a good quality level of customer service, okay? We're going to create our listing presentation. So we're going to talk about what it looks like to create a listing presentation today. I'm going to show you the command presentation. We'll also find a YouTube link on how to customize it, add comparables, and so on. All right. And then the 5th component is the actual walkthrough and the listing appointment. So really each step is asserting your value proposition to the seller and brings them closer to signing with you. Really, if you go through all 5 of these steps, when you get to the house, signing the agreement should be a formality at that point, right? You shouldn't be going to that appointment guessing whether you're going to get the agreement signed or not. It should be more of we have done all the pre-work. Now it's just, let's get over there. Let's walk the property, make sure we have a good understanding of how to present it, and let's just sign this thing, right? And that's it, right? So we did look briefly at the listing presentation in the Spark module, working with sellers, where we're going to get a little bit deeper into it today. All righty, let's take a look at our next slide. So we're going to talk about before the appointment. Before your appointment, you're going to do a lot more listening than talking. Sales is listening and responding, and it's asking really good open-ended questions to get people to communicate. You can't meet a seller's needs or a buyer's needs unless you know them, and you can't know them without asking questions and listening, right? So we have to be attentive, we have to be interested in their needs, and we have to give them plenty of space to tell them, tell their story, basically. Let you know what they're trying to accomplish, and you'll encourage those conversations with open-ended questions, all right? So let's keep that in mind at all times. And that, I think, is a big component of really being a quality salesperson, asking questions and listening, right? I always say that a great salesperson is a great question asker. All right, I'm gonna drop into the chat right now the pre-qualifying script. It's called the pre-listing questionnaire. And I'd like for you guys to get in the chat and go ahead and click on the PDF link, and let's take a look at this together. Okay. So this is located in the Ignite toolkit. And if anyone doesn't have the Ignite toolkit, I'm going to try to drop a Google Drive link and show you where that exists. So go ahead and open this pre-listing questionnaire and give me 2 seconds to go and see if I can find a link to the Ignite toolkit. Okay, I was trying to put this into my Google Drive. It doesn't look like it's uploaded yet. So hopefully by the end of the class, I will have that available for you. But for now, you have the link to the PDF in the chat. So if you take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen, we can open up this and take a look at it together. So pre-listing questionnaire, pretty simple, right? It has a place for you to put the lead information at the top. You got your name, email, home address, etc. The basic things that you need. And then you're going to ask, so when does this happen? Okay. You find a client that says, yes, I'm thinking about selling my house, or I want to sell my home. And you say, fantastic, that's awesome. When can I give you a quick call? Okay. And they'll say, oh, tomorrow, 3 o'clock. All right, awesome. So, do you have 5 minutes for me so I can ask you some important questions before I come out to meet you, right? We want to use this opportunity to get a better understanding of motivations, needs, and wants, okay? So number one, if you have an inbound lead, you're going to ask that question. How did you hear about me, right? How did you come to find me? If this is a lead that you generated maybe through a referral online or whatever, or they called you, right? Otherwise, if you already know the person, you don't need to ask that question. So number two, where are you moving? And then number three, what's motivating you to move there? And number four, how soon do you have to be there? Okay. So these three questions are great, right? Because we're trying to figure out where are they going, what's important about getting there, and when do they need to be there by? And depending on the level of motivation, that's gonna help you figure out, is this person ready to go now? And am I gonna spend the time to go on a listing presentation with the client, right? Because if there's no real motivation or desire, then it's like, okay, well, yeah, I understand you want to do something, but do you have to? I don't know. So I talked to an agent yesterday, picked up a new lead that called them from online advertising. And the person said, we coached the agent, why do you want to sell your property? And they said, well, I realized with the pandemic, I can work from home. My parents live in Florida. I have a 2-year-old. They've only seen him one time in their life and have not had a chance to grow up with their grandbaby. And I'm thinking I want to move back to Florida to be closer to my parents so they can, meet my child. Makes total sense. I get that. And so asking a few more questions, when we started talking about money, the client said, basically, if I don't net at $700,000, I'm not going to sell my property. Okay. So now we got two motivating factors, netting a certain amount of money and getting to the family. And depending on whether the pricing would support that 700 grand, if it doesn't, right, now we got a motivational kind of a push and pull. Which one's going to win? What's going to be more important, netting the amount of money or getting your child in front of his grandparents, right? And I would ask that question, right? What's going to be more important to you? What if we could only get 600,000 or 500,000 out of your property? Would you just say, absolutely not, I'm not going to sell this property, right? So when we look at this script, it's important to understand that just asking these questions and writing the answers down, in most cases, may not be enough. It may not be enough. You may need to go what we call 3 layers deep on your questions, okay? So this is super important, and I really want you guys to grasp this concept, okay? When we talk about 3 layers deep, what we mean is we're going to ask a question, we're going to get the answer, but then we're going to have a follow-up question to the answer, right? So where are you moving? Florida. What's motivating you to move there? I want to be closer to my grandparents. From there, I would ask, tell me more about that. Well, pandemic, growing up, didn't get to see the kid, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, and then I would ask a third, my third layer would be, so what's really important about that? Right? And they're going to say probably something like, I really feel the importance of family in this time, right? And now we have a deeper motivation, like the family, right? And when we start thinking about the money part of it and the 600 grand that they, or 700 grand and you want to net, we can always go back to that motivation and say, well, you told me you wanted to get closer to your family. So what's going to win here? What's more important? And it's just kind of, it's just these probing questions that are really going to help you decide, is this person really, really motivated? Do they have to sell, right? In the instance I just told you about, they don't have to sell. They would like to, but they don't have to. There's no such thing as a buyer that has to buy, but there are times when a seller has to sell. Death, divorce, job transfer, loss of job, that kind of stuff, right? This example, it's not a have to, but it's a really would like to. So when we ask these pre-qual questions, that's really going to make us understand whether it's appropriate to go on an appointment here. Okay, let's keep going on the script. So number 5 says, if we sell your home in the next 30 days, will that pose a problem for you? And if yes, what would the problem be? So in a case like this, when the seller says, yeah, I want to move to Florida, and we ask, what if we sold your home in 30 days? They might say, well, I haven't even found a place to live yet. I don't know where I would go. I don't know if I'd move in with mom. I want to go buy a house out there. Well, have you picked a neighborhood? Have you looked? Do you know where you would live? Have you been pre-approved for a loan? All these things might indicate that they're not ready to list their house yet. Number 6, I love this question. What would happen if your home did not sell? What would happen if your home did not sell? And we're basically saying, if we couldn't get you the 700 because it was overpriced, what would happen? What would happen? Would you just stay here and, not worry about, grandparents, or what would that look like? Okay. Number 7, how much do you want to list your home for? How much do you want to list your home for? I think it's extremely important, guys and gals, that you get a number right here. You must get a number, okay? Because you want to know what's in their head for pricing. And you want to know it before you go, because you want to know whether they're in reality or whether they're in fantasy land about their price. Because if they're in fantasy land, you have to really understand that you're gonna need to get really good at your comparables. You're really gonna need to explain how the other homes are either better or worse and how they affect the value of this price and what's going on in the market. So knowing that number is gonna enable you to spend more time on your scripting and your CMA presentation, right? So so don't pass this moment without getting a number for them. So if they say, I don't know, or what do you think, or you tell me, you're the realtor, or whatever, you want to follow up. You want to ask another question. So I would say something like this. I would say, well, what do you see your neighbors selling for right now? I'm sure you've been paying attention to the market once you started thinking about selling your house. What have you seen the neighbors sell for? What have you seen online, right? And they'll say, well, Zillow said it's worth $1 million. Okay, cool. Well, my neighbor just sold their place for $895. Got it. Okay, cool. Is that kind of where you think you'll be? Yes or no, right? So I never go on without finding a way to get a number out of them, okay? And then sometimes I'll add another piece to this script where I'll say something like, as a professional real estate agent, I study homes and prices every day. Therefore, I assume that you'll list with me at a price that will cause your home to sell, correct? Right? I'm telling them straight up. I look at houses, I look at prices. I know you have an idea in your mind about what you want, but I am the person that knows what homes are selling for. And so I'm assuming that you're going to list with me at a price that will cause your home to sell and not just test the market. Okay. So I really try to cement that into the conversation. Number 8, how much do you owe on the property? Okay. So we need to figure that out, because you usually will want to bring a net sheet with you that shows what they're going to walk away with. Remember, it's not about what you list a home for. It's about what the seller nets. In most cases, I've never met a seller that really cared what it sold for. They care about their check at the end of the deal, right? And then number 9, I'll be sending you a packet of information. Will you take a few moments to review it before we meet? That packet of information we'll look at today. Number 10, do you have any questions before we meet? Okay, this is an important question because they're going to give you areas of concern, such as objections. Okay, so you're going to hear things like this. What's your commission? How much do you think we should list the house for? How long is your contract? What are you going to do to sell my house? Okay. The answer to all those, guys and gals, is that's a great question. I'm going to make a note of that. And I'm going to make sure it's the first thing we talk about when I see you on Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Okay. Here's the point of all this. You never want to give any of that information over the phone or text or email before you show up. Why? Because they're going to use it potentially to exclude you, right? They're going to use it as an opportunity to negotiate with somebody else. So if you say your commission is 6% and they just got a flyer on their door that says, we list homes for a flat fee of $5,000, then guess what? You just helped them book an appointment with this other person. So never give that information over the phone. So what if they say, well, what's your commission, right? You could also answer that by saying, that's a great question. It's fully negotiable. And what we'll do is we'll come up with a compensation package that's going to enable you to net the most amount of money when we get your home sold, because that's what you want, right? Yes. Okay, great. So we'll talk about it when I get there on Tuesday at 4. So again, you're doing everything you can to push those questions off. And you're writing down and taking notes that they brought up commission. They brought up marketing. I need to have those objections, and I need to be able to present all that stuff in a very efficient fashion. Again, so you're trying to do this pre-work. So that way, when you get to the house, you're not like behind the 8 ball trying to scramble and think on your feet. You'll have already practiced this stuff way before. So when you get there and they ask, well, we talked about commission, now you can come up with your commission objection handler, right? And so that's why these questions are so important. So if they say, what's your commission? You answer it. Make sure you ask this question again. What other questions do you have? Because you want to pull all the objections out. In fact, the pre-listing questionnaire, the main objection is to, right, confirm motivation and to pull objections out up front. Okay, those are the main things we're looking at. Number 11 says, will all the decision makers be there when we meet? Okay, it's crucially important that you have everybody that needs to make a decision about listing the property be there at the listing presentation, even if it means somebody that's not on title but is still going to help make the decision, like a family member or whatever. Okay, I remember one of my agents back in the day went on a listing presentation and came back crying, and I wondered why. Well, the wife booked the appointment but didn't tell the husband about it, and the husband came back in the middle of the listing presentation and started yelling and screaming and was very uncomfortable. So that can all be avoided by asking these questions, checking the tax record to see who's on title, and asking, are they going to be there? What's their relationship, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I add another question to this that you guys may want to add as well, which is there anything positive or negative that could affect the value of your home? Anything positive or negative that could affect the value of your property? And we're really just trying to find condition. You could even say, how would you rate the condition of your home on a scale of 1 to 10? Have you done any remodels in the past 5 years? That kind of stuff, right? So, we're trying to get a better idea about the condition so that way we can comp it better and, be ready to get that place on the market. Lastly, it just finishes off, just so you know, our meeting will take between, 10 and 30 minutes, 5 and 25 minutes, whatever. Usually you want your listing appointments to be, 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the most. Okay. That's a good sweet spot to get in, tour, sign the contract, get the heck out of there. Remember, we've done so much pre-work that we shouldn't be having to negotiate or go through motivation again and all those things. Okay. So that is our pre-listing questionnaire. Let's keep moving. So next on our slides, pre-listing goals. And in your manual on page number 6 is where we have some of these goals, okay? So it states here, number 1, state your value, which is tell the seller what you bring to the table, why they should work with you. Number 2, pre-selling, which is to build confidence and answer questions they may have. And number 3, save time, answer objections up front, okay? So once you pre-qualified the seller and schedule the listing appointment, you're going to, send over a pre-listing packet. Let's take a look at that pre-listing packet. I'm going to drop that into the chat as well. This is a Word doc, guys. This is a Word doc. That means you can customize and you can edit it when you open up the Word doc in Microsoft Word. So you'll be able to actually put your branding on it, add the client's name to it. If you want to, customize it with some other, images or whatever, you can do all kinds of stuff. There is a company online called Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and they have a lot of graphic artists on there that will take a presentation like this and make it a little bit more visually appealing if you want. You don't have to do that by any means, but you certainly can if you would like to. Just put your own little spin on it. Okay. So you can customize this one. You can create your own. I don't know why you'd want to do that since we already have this. And then once you're comfortable, you can even have a conversation with your seller about the topics in the packet. Okay. I'm going to give you guys just some other ideas about this stuff. Okay. So since we are thinking about collateral and material, we've got so much to offer at KW, but this one here, the pre-listing packet, is something you can use to market, right? Maybe on your social media, you can put a post that says, if you're thinking about selling a home, send me a message and I will send you a guide to selling your home. Because if you open the pre-listing packet, right, it says on the very front page, a cover page, a guide to selling your home. It's exactly that, right? So that would be a great social media post. You can run an ad through Facebook or Google in command, right? With this as well. You can say, thinking about selling your home, click here for a free guide to selling your home. That could be a great opportunity to generate more business, okay? So we do want to understand our goals here, like we said, stating the value, pre-selling, and saving time. So let's do this. I want to give you guys maybe 5 minutes just to scroll through the pages in the pre-listing packet. Okay, so go ahead and open that on your computer. And the whole thing is like 8 pages. The last 1 or 2 are just stuff about you. So go ahead and take a look at this, open it up, and I want you guys just to read through a couple of the main bullet points and take a look, and then we'll do some ahas in a second here. We'll come back and actually, I'm going to have you guys give me some ahas about what you saw in the packet. Okay, so go ahead and do that now. All right, folks. So just wanted to give you a couple minutes to take a look at the guide here. So who can just maybe give me a quick couple of oh, that's cool, or that's interesting, or an aha that you saw from our guide to selling your home? Let's do a couple of feedback questions here. Who's got something for me? Y'all know I got all day for this. Who's going to participate? Come on now.
What was the question again, Nick?
Just an aha from reviewing the pre-listing packet here.
Um, well, I liked the way that it's compacted and it's a clear indication of who you are, and it just has like a nice overview of
Mhm.
what you offer. So yeah, I like the way that it's compacted.
Love it. Very good. Great, great. Yeah, it's only a few pages and it's pretty simple and basic, right? Who else? Who else? Somebody else give me just something they liked about it. Aha, they saw from reading through it.
I like that it gave the seller an opportunity to kind of uh, think about what's going to be discussed in the listing presentation.
Sure.
And especially in regards to like preparing the home for sale with staging and, you know, how to make their home be received at its highest value by the buyers.
Yep.
And just kind of start getting that moving in their mind so that when you do have your listing appointment, they are familiar with what you're going to talk about.
That's exactly right. Right. I mean, we're basically setting this all up for when we show up at the house. They have that expectation. They know what we're going to discuss. They know what we're going to talk about. Right. And if you look at the very first page or the very second page, it says it's all about you. Right. It starts with it's all about you. So we're here to help you achieve your goals. And here's how I'm going to do it. Right. I will help you by doing this. We're going to talk about the factors affecting the value of the property. We're going to talk about pricing and the strategy. And they have that triangle graph in there that shows, how many people come to look at a home that is above or below market, which I use that on almost every listing presentation I go on, by the way. And then, yes, Nicole, just like you said, it talks about condition and staging and how to stand out. And it even has a few questions, which I love. Like, what is the most important thing you're looking for in a listing agent, right? And they tell you, I want someone honest and reliable with a lot of communication, right? And I go, oh my gosh, how did you just describe me? I am honest, reliable, and communicate a lot, right? They'll tell you exactly what they're looking for. And then there's a page there for you guys to put your about me and your personal accolades. If you don't want to put in that stuff, just delete that page and it's ready to go. I got to be honest. I wish I had something like this when I first started because I had to make it on my own, right? You guys, boom, done. It's ready. Aside from putting the client's names on the first page and deleting the last page, you can use this today. It's ready to rock. Okay. So, okay, cool. Thank you, ladies, for participating. I appreciate you very much. Let's move on. Let's keep going. We're plugging away. A lot of content today for sure. So the next one we talk about is the listing presentation itself. Okay. So the purpose of the presentation ultimately is to get the seller to list with you, right? It's to get the contract signed. Now think about where we are, right? So we have had a conversation over the phone with them or Zoom, even better, asking these questions, right? I got to be honest too. I love the idea of doing the pre-listing questionnaire on Zoom or Google Hangouts because you can have your script pulled up and you still make it seem like you're looking right at them on camera, but you're reading off of a script and still having that face-to-face interaction. I think that's pretty cool, right? You can even do your listing presentation the same way. But think about that again. We've had a conversation where we've discussed motivation, what the plan is, what they want to accomplish. We've talked about what they want to list for. We've asked for any objections or concerns they've had. They've given us the condition of the property, right? And then we sent out a packet of information, which I always think is a great idea just to go drop it off at the house, right? You can even bind it. You know, I bought a binding machine on Amazon for like 65, 70 bucks. And I would always bind my presentations and put them in an envelope and deliver them or mail them or whatever. And so we've given them all this content and material that's talking about selling their house and pricing and, you know, what the ramifications of overpricing look like. And we've talked about staging and condition and getting the home ready for sale. And now we're going to go to the house and look at all the pre-work we've done. At this point, it's just showing up, and we're going to create a great impression to help build confidence in the seller as you being the real estate agent of choice. We're going to share your pricing recommendation, okay? And you're going to set expectations on how you will market the home and work with the sellers, right? Just like the pre-listing packet, you don't have to figure this out for yourself. We have beautifully designed templates inside of Command that are ready to go. And we're going to take a look at these again to be able to customize, okay? We do have an article here inside of our KW content that I'm going to try to drop here if I can. Let me see. Copy link. So if you guys want to copy, it's not going to do it all the way for me. Create a listing. 1 second, everybody. Presentation. Okay, this should work. This link should work. You can click on that, copy and paste it, and just keep it in an open browser tab. But this will actually show you how to customize the listing presentation in Command, okay? But I want to just go ahead and take a look and see what we got here. So let me reshare my screen, and I'm going to show you how to jump into our listing presentation. Okay. So here we've got our Command platform that you guys are getting more and more familiar with. And on the left side, as always, you can click the little KW logo and it will open up the tabs here so you know what you're looking at. We're going to go to designs. Okay, we're looking for designs here. And designs is where all of our marketing collateral, all of our materials are, right? Our social media posts, our presentations, you know, ads that we can run, et cetera, et cetera. And at the bottom here, we got our little plus sign that we're going to click. And we want print. Okay, we're going to select print. And then we're going to hit next. And that's going to open the designs platform. I hope. This is a pretty incredible tool that we have here. I got to be honest. Again, you know, I didn't have any of this kind of materials. We had to like hire people to create this stuff for us for many, many years. So the fact that you just have this available, pretty cool. Okay. Templates on the left, right? Here's where we have all of our print templates for advertising your app, listings, buyers, lead gen, leadership stuff, and other templates. Okay. And you can make your own templates too, by the way. So I'm going to click on listings and look at this. In addition to the listing presentation, which we're going to look at, we have postcards for sale, just listed, neighborhood snapshots and pricing, open houses, just sold, local expert. This is all stuff that you can start doing direct mail with. And you can mail this stuff out right from within Command for a relatively inexpensive, less than 50 cents a card to the neighbors that you want to pick. Okay, pretty cool. Let's go ahead and look at listing presentations. And here are your templates. Okay, you actually have 4 different templates now. I haven't even seen all these. I've seen 2 of them. Let's take a look at this one. This is the approachable template, they call it. And what you have here is like a 40-page listing presentation, right? So I can go through and customize all the pages in here, right? So here's where we have the cover, client name, your information. You got a nice modern property there. Then we have our, kind of our guide of what we're going to talk about, your property, your timeline, your marketing plan, representation. And here is your property. So we're going to put in here some of the basics about the listing. And all you got to do is alter the text. If you don't want to put in here the averages and the, percentage of bigger or smaller and blah, 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 you can take all that stuff out, or you can just go find the numbers in the MLS. And then we have the ability to create a custom neighborhood snap for where they live, right? And then you've got your comps. Okay, so you'll update these comparables. You'll either grab them right within the KWLS, or you'll go into the MLS and add in the information about the pricing, bedrooms of baths, and so on. Okay, and then look, your needs come first, right? So here's a page that talks about what they want to do. Visualize your dream scenario for selling your home. And there's a question here, and you want to ask these questions. What's the one thing that has to happen to make that dream scenario reality? Right? Well, I need to get sold in the first, 2 weeks of the market and get me to Florida. Okay. Well, what do you think I can do as an agent to help you with that? And they're going to tell you what they want. Well, help me price it. Help me do great marketing, and tell me what I need to do to clean this place up. You got it. Here's what we're going to do is that. And then is there anything else we can add to that, right? So we're really getting a focused conversation about them. And the next page, we go through the process, walk through, needs analysis, sign the agreement, right? You want to tell them exactly that. We're going to sign the listing agreement today. We're going to prepare the house for sale. We're going to launch it coming soon. We're going to establish a competitive price. We're going to get your home officially on the market, et cetera, right? So we have a great checklist for what it's going to look like. And this is, again, awesome because you just show the full overview of what it takes to sell a house. Okay, let's keep going. We have our customized marketing plan section. And in here, you can either add more slides, you can talk about what it is you're going to do to market the property, or you can use what we've got here, finding a home, right? Finding your home. And it talks about some of the information about where buyers are found, internet being the number one. You can talk about command and how you do promotions and Facebook advertisements for the property and so on. We talk about promotional assets and the designs platform we just looked at and all the access you have to direct mail. You can even tell them, you know what, as hard as this may be to believe, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, no other company has this. I can go back to my office and I can create and send a mailer before the end of today. Every other company out there, it's going to take a week to have somebody design flyers and create the graphics, send it to a print shop, get it over to the post office. I can do all that with a few clicks of the button by the end of today. Unavailable to any other company out there, okay? And then we talk about your media plan, which includes things like brochures, flyers, postcards, et cetera. And then we talk about strategic promotion, right? Coming soon, just listed. There is a slide in here for open house campaign, which you may, reconfigure this to talk about what a virtual open house looks like, and then have a discussion about what showing instructions look like in, the coronavirus age. And then it just goes into talking about details with other things like pro photos and videography and 3D and so on and so forth. Talks about expertise, how long you've been in the business. You can customize this to you. If you don't have any experience, you can rely on the company's information, right? We can get you the numbers for what our company is doing in terms of numbers, which, by the way, I know our Long Beach office just put out a graphic that we are by far the largest and most productive real estate company locally for Long Beach area. You can add in any credentials or awards that you've got, if anything, and just et cetera. You can see all the different things that are available to you. And if you don't like a page, you delete the page, right? And if you do want something, you want to adjust it, you click on it, and then you just go in and you just start typing and editing. If you want to take stuff out, you can type over everything in here. You want to change the graphic, you can go in and change the images and put something that you think is a little bit more conducive to, what you are or what you like or your style or whatever, right? So there's so many, so many cool things that you can add in here, okay? And then basically, what you're going to do here is you're going to go in and fully edit this thing to your style, and then you're going to create that as your own template. That way, whenever you're ready to go on your next presentation, what you can do is simply add in the comparables. Okay. So with all that in mind, I'm going to go see if we can find a video by Tristan Ayumeda. And if we go to his channel, guys, you guys all should be subscribing. You guys all need to be subscribing to this channel because there's so much command related content in here. But I'm going to see if I can't find Ads Manager. So I'm going to look in the tutorials here, and then right here, custom virtual presentations, a must watch. Okay. By the way, right below that is a deep dive into postcards and how to send out postcards. But this is the one that you guys really need to go through and watch. I'm going to pull it up real quick and just get the link to this specific video, because what he does is he goes through and he creates the entire listing presentation and the buyer presentation as well. And he shows how to add the comps, how to add your branding and all that good stuff. Okay. So I'm going to drop in the chat here this guy's name. He is a mega agent out of the Westlake Village, Keller Williams. Does over $100 million in sales volume. So he's a big player, very tech savvy, and really shares a lot with our offices. So, okay. Any questions on command or what we just saw there? All right. I will assume I did a decent job of explaining that. So that's basically the tech and the platform that we're going to use with command. That's how you're going to create your presentation. And then simply, ladies and gentlemen, you just go through the presentation, and at the very end of it, it has closing language. It'll say basically, all we need to do now is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want in the time you want. Okay. A couple of other things that are in our Ignite toolkit are things like, handling seller objections. I'm going to put in the chat here our the Elementals script book. And there are a couple of pages on objection handling. We're not going to go verbatim today with anything, but there are some scripting in there. Okay. All right, let's keep going through our slides here. So now that we're at the presentation, you're going to do your walkthrough. Okay. So when you get to the potential seller's home, it's important to establish yourself as a knowledgeable professional right away, right? So you're going to greet your clients, you're going to thank them for the opportunity, and you're going to ask them if you can leave your things in the kitchen while you walk the property. Okay. So you want to put all your stuff down, hopefully at the kitchen table. It's a nice neutral space. It's not very formal. It's not very informal. It's a great little place to do your presentations. And then you're going to conduct your walkthrough. I've mentioned this before, but when I get to a listing, I knock on the door and I say, hey, thank you so much for having me over. Before I come in, I just wanted to let you know that I am 100% committed to getting your home on the market and getting it sold. Okay. So I just straight up, I tell them right away, I am here to help you get your home sold. Thank you so much for having me over. Okay. So the walkthrough is going to help get a better understanding for creating your listing description, taking a look at the amenities and the appeal and the flow and so on and so forth. And it will definitely come into your pricing strategy as well. So if you can, it's up to you. Do the walkthrough alone or not. I don't know. There's so many companies out there. Half of them say do it alone. Half of them say it's okay to have your client go. I don't care either way. I don't mind if my client walks me through the property because, I ask questions like, why did you buy the home in the first place? Right? What prompted you to buy this home? Because that's going to be similar to probably what other buyers are interested when they want to buy their home as well. Okay. There is a home walkthrough survey, I believe, in the Ignite toolkit as well. And basically it's just a simple kind of a checklist that you guys can use to walk the property and take notes. It'll help you when you write your property descriptions and getting all the details of the house as well. Okay, man, there's so much great content and great tools that you guys have available. So use everything. Okay. All right. So the final point of the presentation, right, is you going through, you doing the presentation, you explaining the comps, you doing the marketing. You've already addressed their needs. I mean, you've done everything at this point. So lastly, all that we got to do is close. We just got to get them to sign the contract. Okay. And that doesn't have to be, you know, very difficult. It's just, again, another script. Okay. So on page 13 in your manual, there is a closing the deal script, right? And it's pretty simple. It says, you know, after studying the comparables, taking into account the unique characteristics of your home and its setting, using my knowledge of the averages of the neighborhood, I prepared my recommendation. And my primary goal is to get you the most money possible. And I believe this pricing plan, matched with my marketing plan, will draw agents and buyers to your home and position it as a highly appealing and very competitive property. And you'll give them the recommendation. Sometimes you'll actually put that into your listing presentation. There'll be a page there for what you want to list the property for. And then it asks, after looking at everything I've presented about condition and price, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with this pricing recommendation? Yay or nay? If yes, great, you move on. If no, you may need to go back and pull the comps up again and say, well, what do you think you want to list for? And help me understand why, based on the numbers. Okay. We got to remember something here, folks. The market doesn't care how much your seller wants to price their property at. The market doesn't care how much the seller wants to net. The market doesn't care where your seller's moving to and how much money they need to move to the next property, right? Buyers only care about what the value of the home is based on its features and benefits. So if they say, well, no, I don't agree with your recommendation, you'll say, well, oh, help me understand that. Let's look at the comparables and look at the facts and the data again, right? Because I don't want them to come back and say, well, I just want $1 million and it's worth 800. I say, well, let's look at the comps. Help me understand why you think a buyer would pay $1 million for your property when there's nothing that's sold over 850. Help me understand that a little bit, right? And you'll go back through that conversation and you'll do a great job and convince them that that is the best price. And then you're going to ask, is this what you'd like to list your home for? And are you ready to make the decision to work with me? Assuming the answer is yes, which it will be, great. It sounds like we've got a price and are ready to put a sign in the yard. Let's do it and get this house sold. Sign the contract. And you will slide it on over to them. Initial there, initial there, initial there, or you will DocuSign it to them, and you can do a DocuSign right at their house, have them sign it on the phone, whatever. But be ready to get that contract signed. You don't want to leave without a contract signed, right? Ideally, you're at the house, you're doing the presentation. You wouldn't want to DocuSign it later. So if you're going to do digital signatures, have it queued up and ready to go in zip forms and available to do mobilely if necessary, or just print it out. Take a copy, get back to the office and scan it and send them a copy immediately. You have to give them a copy of the contract. Okay. You know, one last thing about this little section here about closing. Closing doesn't have to be hard, guys. It does not have to be hard. It is simply asking for what you want. Okay. Closing is simply asking for what you want. People make it harder than it needs to be. And what they typically do, most agents are going to ask questions like this. They're going to say, what do you think? What questions do you have, right? But they don't ask the simple question of, do you want to list your home with me? Are you ready to list and sell your home with me today, right? So it's as simple as that. You have to be willing to just ask for what it is that you want, right? And when you do that, they'll tell you yes. That's what closing is all about. Okay, so be ready to take that step and close. Okay, folks, that's basically it for today. I want you to go to the last page in your manual, and we are going to go through our ahas. So if you would turn to page 15 in your manual there. And I just want you to fill in the blanks like we do every time. How has your thinking changed? What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful for you today? How will your behaviors be different? And what actions will you take? And then what tools do you need? And I'll have you guys share a couple of these with me, and then we will be done for today. So go ahead and do that now. All right, folks, let's wrap this up. Somebody give me 1 or 2 ahas and we will be done for the day. Just anything from the 4 little sections there. Tell me something that you learned today, a tool or an action that you are going to take moving forward. Go for it.
I
Brooke.
have one.
Yes.
I'm super excited about the listing presentation on command and knowing the steps to go through to create a template that I can then modify for each individual person. That would help me feel much more prepared going into a listing presentation if I have already run through it, even using some of my friends or neighbors as just practice comps. So that's a huge bonus for me.
Totally. I love it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you have friends or neighbors that are willing to let you practice on them, that's great. Otherwise, also remember, you guys have friends right here on the call that are more than willing to interact and role play. Somebody give me one more aha. We won't drag this out and let you guys get back to your days. One more aha for the day. Who's got something for me? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. What do we got? Christian, Hugh, Nicole, Mario. Somebody tell me something.
A good salesman is a good questionnaire. I think that's the way you defined it, or you worded it. And so asking 3 deep dive questions in every presentation. So
Absolutely.
to me, that stood out a lot.
Yep. One of our value propositions at KW, we have what's called the why, 4 C's, 2 T's, but one of them is seek first to understand, then to be understood, right? So you got to ask questions to get to the heart of the matter. And it shows that you're listening. It shows that you're caring about them. It shows you're paying attention. So much power and value there. So that's a great aha. Okay, folks, we're going to wrap it up today. My dog's going crazy. So that's it for Ignite. Appreciate you all. We will talk again on Thursday, okay? Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.